Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics at length whilst driving to work. Currently it is 7 degrees and I'm freezing my ass off. There is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I talk about them in length. Hopefully that's the content I'm talking about isn't just dribble, although yesterday I'm pretty sure it fucking was. I also swear profusely. I'm not going to apologise for that, that's me. It's not doing anyone harm, so I'm just not going to do any kind of kowtowing to anyone's demands, so just no. If you don't like it, turn it off. You're a grown-ass adult. And I should know that because the audience I've set these podcasts to is only adult. You have to be 18 plus. And if at 18 you can't handle swearing, which I doubt, you're just going to have to harden up. So, the topic for today is social status. Oh God, there's so many facets to this one. Social status. Now, I'm not particularly one who kowtows to sort of wanting to belong to particular tiers of society. I'm not a joiner. I don't like joining in. I have no interest in... Yeah, you want to stop, buddy? Sorry, I'm just shouting at drivers already. It's been 3 seconds. I have no desire to actually belong to any kind of particular group or social tier or part of any kind of hierarchy because I just don't care. But that's me. I found flaws in every one of those social tiers that I've been looking at, so I'm just going, you know what, none of this sounds particularly good and the perks aren't that great either, so I'm just going to stick to myself and do my own thing. Yeah, so that seems to work for me. I'm not interested in social climbing because in order to social climb you have to actually kiss ass and I don't want to. So that's just me, I don't care. Yeah, we're all going to be doing our own thing anyway, so fuck it, why do you want to join in with that kind of crap? It's like, there's so many facets of this. Anyway, so when we're talking about social status, most of the time we're talking about, sort of social hierarchies. In England, there's a class system. And in many different countries, there's class systems. At the moment, it's sort of waning because you've got the upper crust, which is sitting there pretty much getting fucked over by things like inheritance laws and stuff like that, where they're actually losing their funds, stuff like that. You get the top 1% who are just, rich white men usually, who are old, who've hoarded for no fucking reason. There's a lot of wealth associated with that kind of crap as well. My parents came from the bottom tier. They are welfare, basically working class. So we were in and out of welfare. When it comes to anything like trying to get out of that level, it's more to do with trying to just improve quality of life. It's not to get any kind of social approval. It's not to take power and govern. We just want to stop eating shit. For a couple of minutes so we can, maybe go on a holiday or something, That's the main desire, is just to live comfortably when you're coming out of that situation. You get a lot of people that have got some kind of family drive to improve their legacy or some shit like that. I'd be happy just not, living on a budget. By never having to go on the welfare system again. That is my ultimate. It's like I'd never want to have to go on Centrelink again. Because it's a shit show. And there's so many reasons why it sucks altogether, so that's a whole different podcast in itself. I've been in and out of the welfare system my entire life, so I never want to go back to that, which is the incentive to work, basically, which I think is what they're trying to get people to do. When it comes to the middle classes, which is technically where I am right now, because I've got the capacity not only to work, but also to own businesses and to employ other people to work for me, essentially, if I need them to. Or if I want them to. That's pretty much where I'm sitting around about now, given my wage as well. I'm lower middle class, I'd say, because I'm not exactly established, but I'm not heading towards any kind of Centrelink right now. So I'm around about, and the majority of people are around about that area, I think. I don't know, with the cost of living crisis, everybody seems to be losing their jobs and shit like that. So unfortunately, yes, we're seeing a transition between the layers. Upper middle class is cushy. That means you can go on holidays like yearly, or you can invest in side projects which go nowhere. It's all extra crap. Upper class is like rich people. I've no interest in that because they're often shallow assholes, as far as I can see. You get a load of... It's weird, because you've got to be in the middle, basically. You've got to be comfortably, moderately in the middle to understand what's going on with that. You can look up, you can look down and see most floors are either at at either end of the spectrum there. You've got a bunch of rich people that are rubbing it in everyone's face, no concept of what money is or what it's for really, because they've always had it. That's like the people who have inherited it. They've never had to earn it. And so sort of everyone below them hates them. Or you've got the, dirt poor broke people who also have no concept of money or what it can do, but they don't want to actually try and, they can't find a way out of the mindset that they're stuck in this situation. They don't want to transition, don't want to turn to education or anything like that to better their circumstances. Or they've been hit with some horrendous life experiences that have completely fucked them and subsequent generations after them. So that's the two ends of the spectrums. Most people are in the middle, closer to the lower end, I would assume. But what comes with that? I mean, why would you want to transition the layers anyway? I mean, most people, if you're looking at all the rap stars and things like that, it's all about money in the ditches. Not for me. I just want to live comfortably. I'm quite happy as long as, like when I moved out of, I suppose, my ex-husband's or my ex-boyfriend's apartment sort of thing, I wanted an apartment that was just safe, clean and functional. I didn't want some fancy area or some, like to live amongst rich people really. I lucked out with the apartment I've got because we've got a shitload of mansions up the back of where I am now, and I'm going, hey, this is weird. But it was what was available at the time, and I got looked after very well by the universe, so it's a very safe area. It's very clean, and it's a newish area. And I'm like, okay, I must have done something right. But I didn't move there specifically with, thinking, oh, this is one of the better areas in mind. I just wanted something clean, safe, and functional. I didn't want to live in the center of the town I live in because I knew what it was like to live amongst those people. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't like hearing scratching, screaming, fighting matches amongst crackheads. So I went to the outskirts, and I quite like it there. Other than that, it's not anything that I actively look for. I don't want to social climb. And I don't like the pretension associated with social climbing as well, because it does seem very vulturistic, doesn't it? You got a bunch of people. Like if we look at a specific example, okay, and you're going to hate me for this, Meghan Markle, my go-to social climber at this point, because it's current, isn't it? She came from an okay family aspect, because her dad was in like business with, stage props and things like that, so Hollywood. So she must have had a decent wage growing up or something, right? I don't know what her mum did. I think she was a yoga teacher or something. But it was not a case of you starving in the street, living in fucking Compton or something, like that. And there was no, going house to house and having to live where you can for the night so you can, just survive. So she came from something. But then something in her, and I don't know whether it's associating with the fakeness of Hollywood or something like that, drove her to want to social climb. Sorry, that was my visor being flipped up. So what did she do? She went into acting, because apparently that's a good way to, although, to be honest, it's a bit hit and miss, because you never know if you're going to be wanted or not, so that was a bit of a gamble. She married some guy that produced movies, I think it was, some redhead guy that looked like Harry as a clone. And when that didn't work out, or she didn't get what she wanted, she went off and she found someone else, which was Prince Harry, because apparently that's a better social status. Then she used his notoriety and his titles, and hers that she was awarded when she married him, to set up things like, what was it? No charities, really, I've noticed. No real charities. What was it? Some shit. Netflix deals and shit like that. So anything to generate more money. So she wanted to be seen as this sort of, what do they call them? Like Oprah figure. I think that's what she's aiming for. Where she's sort of signing bananas and handing them out because it's the best thing you can do. And she's riding the woke bandwagon. And I have no problem with wokeists. I have no problem with them, so long as they're not making money off it, so long as they're not doing it for more attention. Because it's, the social equivalent of a teenage girl. It's like, I'm doing it because everyone else is doing it. Oh my God. So I need the updates. Oh my God. They've just discovered they've got boobs or something. Let's take pictures. So I don't mind the wokest movement, which is just essentially building on what they had in the 60s. It was just the sort of social awareness and trying to do the right thing. People, of course, are profiting of it, so I don't agree with that. I think you should be just doing the right thing for common sense and because it's the right fucking thing to do. They tend to, create the illusion that they're doing it for awareness these days. It's like everybody's already aware of the problems. We don't need your picture with a celebrity. That's not building awareness. That's just saying, look who I know. Name dropping. We know the problems. We see the problems. Most of us haven't got the money to fix the problems or access to any kind of tools or means to fix the problems. So we all say, oh, that's bad. And we keep going on with our, lower class lives. When they tend to transition through the classes, like Michael, for example, with all the money apparently she's getting from Netflix deals and things, although she just cancelled her podcast, are they actually using it for any kind of social good, or are they doing it to promote their own brand sort of thing? It's self-gratifying. It's not actually any kind of social good. That's what bugs me. It's like you're just doing it for appearances and attention. It's ego serving. If you got to that point where you've actually got all that money, I mean, what did she do? She got all that money and then she bought a fucking mansion in Montecito. It's like, you don't need that mansion. You're given all that money for a reason. You're meant to help people. No, I need a mansion with God knows how many rooms and a stupid big garden. And it's like, you're pointless. You're just pointless. I mean, I can imagine the universe just throwing up our hands and going, what the fuck did I help you for? Really? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It's the fakeness behind it that bugs me. It's like, you didn't get to that position to help people. You got to that position to help yourself. And then she gives this whole bullshit dialogue about, I deserve this. It's like, you don't deserve this. You maybe could be given the position to help other people. You deserve the opportunity to help other people, maybe. But the fucking mansion wants it. No, you don't deserve that, because you're doing it wrong and you're using it wrong. And it's the kind of social climbing shit that I hate. It's like, if you're given that position, use it properly. If you're given any kind of award or something where you get to stand on a stage, fucking do something properly about it. Help someone else up, we're trying to level things. We're not trying to promote our own shit. It just bugs the fuck out of me. The shallow victories. This is empty trophies these fuckers aim for because it looks good. It's like, all it is a smear campaign against everyone else. It's like, I'm just going to promote myself, make myself look good and shove it in your face. And they fucking ride on the fake, I'm doing social good bullshit, and it bugs the fuck out of me. Because anyone who's actually doing social good isn't sitting there taking a picture of it. How many people work in food banks daily, don't get a photo op, who just do their job because it's the right fucking thing to do? You know it's the right fucking thing to do. It bugs the fuck out of me. Like doctors and nurses just getting on with their job without some celebrity flouncing in and saying, I'm supporting this, I'm taking the credit for this. It's like, you don't actually do it. You're not actually a doctor or a nurse. You're not actually helping people. You just turn up, take a picture and fuck off. It bugs the fuck out of me. It's taking someone else's credit, someone who's actually deserved it and earned it and worked for it. But because they're giving them a stage and, some kind of weird status where they're apparently better than everyone, they get to take the credit for it. It's like, no, you don't, fuckface. That's not how it works. Oh my God. It's like stolen military honor, right? So say a soldier's got the Purple Heart or whatever it is. I don't know what the medals are these days. They keep changing them. But if you've earned that in battle and you've done the work and you've, fought valiantly and you've done all the social approval stuff, and then some celebrity comes up and takes your medal, aren't you going to be fucking pissed? Excuse me? I'm sorry, I just lost a leg and an arm to fucking off, fighting in Afghanistan and shit like that. Why are you taking my medal? Were you there? Oh no, I've never set foot on the battlefield. I'm just rich and I like the credit. Of course, now I'm getting flashbacks to Sean Penn in Ukraine. I'm going, have you ever been in the army? Do you even know what the fuck you're doing, Sean Penn? No, but I'm a celebrity and of course people approve of me being here. It's like, I will if you get shot. Idiot. Why are you there? Are you even camoed up? It's ridiculous. Anyway. But because they've got money and position, so, fake position really, because it's only an abstract concept. It's like their value is not in any way realistic. It's just something that someone said, oh, they're in the camera a lot, so of course they're worth a lot. It's like, no, actually, they're not actually good people. They're just, PR images that you've bought into. You've bought into a brand. We don't actually know what they are in real life. They could be real bastards. I mean, look at Epstein and Weinstein. People kept promoting them as producers or as business owners and things like that. and they made networks of these people. But it's all bullshit. These people aren't good people. They're assholes. They just have money and influence. And that can go tits up pretty fucking fast. Look at Hitler. He's got influence too. Yeah, this is not good influence. I don't agree with it. And it also buys into the whole sort of social media shit. There are pros and cons to social media. Yes, you can share information, just like the internet was built predominantly to share information across the world, isn't it? That's what it was for. But how much fucked up information has been spread just to suit people's agendas? It doesn't make sense. It's like we're supposed to be promoting and growing, and I hope, maybe naively, that was the whole purpose of the internet. But now we've got all like the dark web and stuff like that, where people are just doing fucked up things. I don't know. It's fucked up. Some things maybe shouldn't have invented. I don't know. Would we be better off if we hadn't invented it? I don't know. But seeking social status. There is a word for it. There's a French word for it where you're trying to transition through the layers. Although technically the layers only exist as a social construct. I mean, if you ignore them. Like if I ever went and met, I don't know what we have to call him, King Charles these days, I'm never going to call him a king. I am never going to address him as sir or whatever all the fucking titles are, because I don't think he deserved them. I'm not seeing them on a social construct level. I don't think they deserve what they got, to be honest. It's not saying I'm a Republican. I'm a monarchist. I just don't think those particular people, as individuals who are accountable to their own actions and behaviours, deserve the position and the respect that is, associated with those titles. I think someone who is a king should be acting better than that, to be honest. I mean, he didn't act like a prince when he was a prince. I'm going, how do the Welsh people feel about you being a complete fucker? I mean, it's not as bad as what Harry's doing right now, and it could be worse. He could go full Putin, but there's a lot of covering up when it comes to titles. I can't, because you're not acting kingly, especially when the whole premise of your job at the moment is to be observant of things like the Magna Carta. And then he's had a whole history of doing spider letters to the government. I'm sitting there going, what kind of a king are you going to be if you just ignore the premise in which you exist under? It's like you're undermining yourself by your actions. It's self-sabotage. It's stupid. All these rich people who claim to give a shit about the poor and then run off from their fucking private jets and things like that. It's the hypocrisy of it bugs me. That's why I never want to actually do social climbing. It doesn't make sense. And it's the whole belonging thing as well. It's like I've seen too many flaws in groups and things like that. It was like, why do you want to belong to? I haven't found one pure group that is worth belonging to yet that doesn't have some kind of weirdness to it. And I know that sounds a bit random because it's like, how could you know that? You haven't seen all groups. You don't know. And I suppose it's a case of you want to see what you can get out of the group as well. It's like if you belong to a religious group, there's obviously some kind of value system that you want to perpetuate there, or if you want to belong to a social group, maybe, I don't know, Illuminati? I don't know. Maybe you want something out of that. So you need to ask yourself, what are you trying to get out of this group, and why do you think it's worth perpetuating? What kinds of wolves are you feeding here? It's like, would you want to sit at that table? Could you stand with those values? Is that something that you can see that would be going somewhere constructively? Or are you doing it because you've got a herd mentality, you can't think for yourself? I don't like group followings. There's a lot of following groups to fit in with saying that you belong to a certain group or transitioning through social hierarchies. I don't like that. Bearing in mind I haven't really had much contact with people that are in the upper echelons. I think at most I saw maybe Rowan Atkinson at a distance when I was in London. I went, oh look, there's Rowan. And I kept walking. It's like, there's no desire to be them or be like them. There's just, not that you couldn't want to, it's like, I'm just trying to understand what you'd get out of it. I mean, as soon as you stick your head above the trenches and become a celebrity, for example, you're going to get your head shot off in one way or another, because there is an underlying sort of mentality of tall poppy syndrome. It's like you're winning while you're winning. As soon as you stop winning or doing what the crowd wants, you get your head cut off. You know, it's very Marie Antoinette. And it's risky business because the masses or the lower classes who've held you up on this pedestal can be fucking ruthless if they want to cut you down. It's absurd. So I'm just assuming that maybe you should just have a few close friends and don't bother trying to climb upwards. Or if you do climb upwards, if you somehow come across some money or some influence, use it for social good rather than just trying to make yourself look good. Do it covertly, I guess, because as soon as you point out that you've got any kind of money or influence, you're going to get shot. It's like you're going to get robbed. Look at the Kardashians, how many times they've been robbed. Maybe you'll get kidnapped. How many millionaires and billionaires have had their siblings or family members kidnapped and held for ransom and stuff like that? It's like, do you really want to put your head above the trenches? There's something very scary about that level of exposure, I think. So I'm sitting here happy in my little Picanto. Happy that it works and I don't have to climb in the boot. It's like I don't want a Lamborghini for the sake of saying I've got a Lamborghini and you should all be jealous, sort of thing. It's like I'm very happy with my little car. It runs well, as showing gratitude. I know it's not even one of the more expensive cars that is affordable to me at the moment. I'm just happy that it's all right. People, like, I do wonder if you're trying to transition through social layers to achieve social status or a supposedly better social status. Do you just sort of lose vision of what to be grateful for as well? And if you start doing that, you're never going to be happy. You've got a bunch of people constantly striving, killing themselves just to get money to get into a particular social group on the social ladder, and they never actually live their life. And they say maybe, I don't know, what's the offset? I'm doing it for my kids, I'm doing it for the future generations. But then the future generation comes along, inherits the money, and then they just piss it down the drain. So there's no gratitude there either because they haven't earned it. But at the same time, they get hold of it and they don't know what to do with it because they've no concept of what the value of it is. They don't know what it took to get there, to get that money, to get that social position. And I've found also, I mean, people complain about the lower status people, that there's a lot of things like drug use and crime and stuff like that. There's just as much in the upper as well. It's just they get away with it because they can buy out of it. If someone sues you for sexual work, look at Prince Andrew, for example. You know, he got done for, I'm assuming it's pedophilia, to be honest, because the way I saw it was, she's very young, you're very old, and this is gross. And she sued him for it. But it seems you can buy your way out of prison if you've got enough money. It fucked me up. If it was anyone else who wasn't famous and that happened, you'd be straight in prison. You won't get to just sue and pay off compensation for shit. You go to prison. She was saying things like he raped her. I'm sitting there going, yeah, that's a prisonable offense. Who is it? Prince Andrew? It's like, no, he's going to get out of it. It's like, what the fuck? Go to prison. This doesn't make sense. Why is it one set of rules for one set of people, but another for, you know, the others? So, and even if he did go to prison, he'd probably be in the better section of it. You know, it's very Victorian, really, or Edwardian, if you're going into that side of things. It's like when you went to prison in those time periods, if you had money, you could buy the better cell. You could have nice things living. It was just like you moved location from your normal dwellings. Whereas the broke people who couldn't afford the nice things just fucking rotted in the dungeon, you know, sort of thing. It's absurd. It doesn't make sense. It should be leveled out. If you've committed a crime, it gets leveled out regardless of where you came from. And if you're lucky and if you haven't done anything severely bad, then you can go back to living the way you were living, maybe with a tarnished reputation, after you've served your time. It doesn't make sense that you can just buy the better versions or someone can just sue you for compensation and that covers up the fact that you committed this huge fucking crime like rape. It doesn't make sense. That's why I have a distaste for the upper echelons, because you shouldn't be able to just buy your way out of crimes. It's absurd. Or because, you know, oh, they're a celebrity and it's fine because everybody loves them. It's like, no. A small section of people like the very carefully constructed PR image that they've created, and so you can get out of it this way, but it just doesn't make sense. It's not healthy for anything, not even like in a social sense. It leaves no room for accountability. People aren't serving their time. It sets a double standard for anyone else around them. And, you know, consequence goes out the window because people think, well, he got away with it, I'm going to do it. You know, it's stupid, it fucks everything up. I'm nearly at my work now, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. What can we do with social status? Let's look at the positive side of things, because I can wax lyrical about how shit it is for days. The positive sides of improving your social status. Obviously, your own life chances. And I'm not saying go all out, buy a Lambo and a jet ski and some fucking mansion in Montecito to prove how pretentious and wanky you are. I'm saying, you know, get to a level where it's sustainable, that you don't have to go on the welfare system, that you can afford functioning objects that need to feature in your day-to-day, that work towards giving you some kind of a purpose in life. And if your purpose is raising healthy kids, great. If your purpose is building a business, great. Help other people with that business. Don't just... What the hell was the point of that, you dipshit? Sorry. I'm just looking at what is that? A Navara. Oh, it would be a Navara. Just cutting me off for no reason. Go on. As I said, I would be swearing at drivers. But go and help someone. If you're starting a business, it shouldn't be to accumulate and hoard wealth. It should be to perpetuate things that can help other people. It should be always on your mind, what can I do to help someone else? Life is about service. Not just yourself, other people, getting somewhere, helping other, improving life chances. Okay? That's what we should be doing. Improving quality of life, not just for yourself, for everyone. If you're looking at the 4 reasons why we exist at all, your 4 reasons why, you know, human purpose in life should be look after the planet, look after the animals, look after each other, and then look after yourself. That's the 4 purposes. People say, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Pick one of those or pick all of those. You know, people get lost in the overthinking things. It's like trying to fit in with bullshit society stuff. Because everybody else is doing this. Yes, but is any of that in line with what you should be doing, or is it they just doing it for fluff and flowers? It's like none of it's worth anything. You know? If it's for your kids, great. If it's for your business, great. If it's for promoting an idea, obviously where you don't profit off it, great. That's a wholesome idea, please. No more genocides. But yeah, that's what you should be doing with social status. I'm sick of seeing people get hung up on, I need to accumulate money to get position so I can look better than everyone else. That's just ego serving. It's stupid. That's what my ex-husband did. He was training clients that had more money than us, obviously. I was a teacher. He was a personal trainer, he made no fucking money. But I was carrying both of us. And, you know, he was training clients who were like doctors and things, and super like CEOs of businesses and things like that. And they would come to him and it would just, you know, and he saw that and he got jealous of it. And so he started trying to pursue that lifestyle without actually putting the work in. And that's how you end up with me getting overly stressed trying to provide for both of us, and him saying, why aren't you working harder? And it's just, fuck you, guy, go on. And eventually he leaves you for that kind of people. I don't know what the fuck he thought he was doing. I don't know. But he didn't want to put the work in. Either way, that's a different podcast in itself. I think I'd call it Keeping Up with the Joneses. It's like the Joneses are probably in debt anyway. I don't know why people try and keep up with them. I feel sorry for the Jones people. I'm sorry, people with the last name Jones. I think it's a Welsh name. Anyway, I love the Welsh. Leave them alone. But, you know, social status has its limits. And yeah, as, you know, Spider-Man says, with certain certain privileges come certain responsibilities. It's like, if you stick your head above the trenches, you better make sure that you've got a helmet on. None of this dumb shit where you don't know what you're doing, or, you know, you're about to commit some fucked up crime because everyone can see it. You're on a pedestal. People have put you on a pedestal. You aimed for the pedestal and people are helping you get to the pedestal. If you fuck that up, everyone can see you fall. So be careful with what you wish for when you're in that top tier. It doesn't make sense to get up there and think you're invincible. You're sitting there resting on your laurels, hoping no one notices that you just, you know, pulled an Andrew. You know, it's like, what the fuck? It's okay because my buddies will cover it up. No, everything leaks. Everything leaks. Even boats leak at some point or another, you know? And they're built for sitting on water. So just don't be a fucking idiot. You can never plug all the holes all the time. Shit gets out and everything comes out in the wash. These are so many metaphors. So make sure if you do get to that position where you can actually do something power-based, make sure whatever power-based thing you're doing is going to be good, not selfish, rather selfless, and actually going to help some people. Otherwise, you will make yourself a target for everyone who's willing to drag you down. If you're seen to be being greedy at that higher echelon, then people are going to aim for you, particularly. And you can just say, oh, just ignore the haters. It's like, no. Do you not remember what happened at Versailles? You can't just ignore those types of haters. If they start marching on, Versailles, you're going to notice eventually, right? It's like, I'm just ignoring the haters. Yeah, you carry on doing that. It's a good way to lose your head. Don't be dumb. It's fascinating watching these rich people think they're invincible. It's stupid. Everything comes on and wash. It's human nature to want to expose bullshit. Just all you got to do is sit back and wait. People in general, I think, have a strong sense of justice, sometimes out of nobility and sometimes out of jealousy. If you've seen someone who's achieved more than you, then you're going to try and risk bringing them down, aren't you? I mean, it's the survival mechanism. The taking from others to get for yourself. People want it for themselves. I mean, that's the jealousy side of things. If you want to assume that people are trying to promote some sense of nobility by sort of policing other people, that works too. That's a more nicer way of looking at it. It's like, I have to police these people to make sure they don't fuck everyone else over. So you've got two strands of it. So you've got double barrel coming at you. What the fuck is that? I think it's an excursion. Ah, it's an excursion bus. Ooh, I might be going on an excursion bus. But you just gotta make sure you're doing the right thing, okay? The universe isn't going to give you this power and position to let you just fuck around with it. Be self-serving. Commit crimes. You should be aiming to do something positive about it. Alright, so I'm going to have to go now because I've just pulled up. I'm hoping you have a fantastic... Jesus, what is it, Tuesday? This might be my last podcast for the term. I've got 2-week break because I've got to be working on my other businesses, so I hope you have a fantastic 2 weeks and I'll be back after that. Alright, have a good one.